In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own SANDTROOPER pauldron using only EVA foam. Hey everyone, I'm Tristan and welcome to my workshop. If you want to make this project, you can get the templates from my Etsy store, which is linked in the video description. But now, let's make this thing.
Once you've printed out your templates by following my printing tutorial video, you need to remove the border around each page that will be taped together. You can use scissors, but I like using a sharp box cutter and a straight edge. Once that's done, tape the pages together and carefully cut out each piece. Take your time to be accurate with your cuts. Here are all the parts from the template. Make sure not to lose any of them. Now take out some EVA foam and trace each piece of the template on the corresponding thickness of foam. If a part has a 2x logo on it, it means you need to trace it down twice. For the 25mm thick parts, you can stack two 10mm and one 5mm foam sheets together to get the right thickness. I glued them together using contact cement. Once every piece has been traced, you should end up with these 2, 5 and 25mm parts. To cut out the foam pieces, I recommend using a craft knife for thin foam and tight curves, and a box cutter for thicker foam and straighter cuts. Take your time. The more accurate your cuts are, the better things are going to fit together later. And here are all the parts cut out. All of these parts need to have rounded edges. To achieve that, you can use a rotary tool with a round stone bit. All of the 5mm parts need to be heat formed into more of a rounded shape. You can also use a heat gun to clean up the sanded edges. To glue the parts together, I recommend using Super 77 spray cement. I found it's the only spray glue that sticks well. Spray 2 thin coats on the parts you see here, and give them a couple of minutes to get tacky. Use the template as a reference for gluing the parts and simply start sticking the 5mm parts to the base. Keep an even spacing between each of them and stretch them if needed to fit perfectly. After that, spray glue on the assembly and to the back of the other 2mm base piece. You can glue the piece on top of your assembly. I use a piece of paper here to keep the part from sticking all at once. Now press down all around the top piece so it folds down and stick to the bottom base piece. To reveal the hidden 5mm parts, press down between each part with a Sharpie. Finally, clean up your work using the rotary tool and heat gun. If you get air bubbles, pop them with a sewing pin and press down on the bubble to push the air out. Let's make the two rivets on the shoulder pad. For that, I'm gonna use hot glue. Cover the template with packing tape and make a blob of hot glue the same size as the circle on the template. You can make a couple more to practice and choose the best ones. After, simply peel off the hot glue rivets. You can glue them on the shoulder pad using super glue. For some elastic webbing to pass through, you'll need to cut two 1-inch slits on the pauldron. If you want your pauldron to look more like leather, you can make sewing marks using a tracing wheel. Go over the places you think should have a seam, keeping your lines as straight as possible. And with that done, here is the completed pauldron. Let's move on to the pouches. Here are all the parts you'll need. Each pouch requires these 4 parts. Spread hot glue on the back of the biggest 2mm part and glue it along the top of the 25mm piece. Fold it around the top and back. Then add glue to the long strip and glue it over the 2mm part, but not completely at the top of the pouch. Finally, the smallest piece goes across the strip to hold it down. Each of the 3 pouches is made exactly the same way. With that done, you can use more hot glue to connect the 3 pouches together. Each pouch needs a little rivet on the 2mm strip piece. You can make them the same way as earlier, or if you're feeling brave, you can make them directly on the pouches. These pouches are also supposed to be made out of leather, so you can add the same sewing marks as on the pauldron. Make sure you add them only where it makes sense. To reinforce the pauldron, you can glue strips of 10mm foam behind the front and back of it. For that, you can use hot glue or contact cement. You can see how the pauldron now holds its shape way better. And here are the pauldron and pouches finished. Let's connect everything together using 1-inch elastic webbing. You'll need one 8-inch piece and two 3.5-inch pieces. Start by feeding the 8-inch elastic piece through the front and back slits of the pauldron and use hot glue to stick them down. Here's what you should end up with. As for the pouches, connect the two 3.5-inch elastic strips in the back on the left side. Once that's done, the pouches need to connect on the right side of the pauldron like this. Of course, I used hot glue for this too. You'll also need a way to attach your pauldron to your Stormtrooper armor. I used 6 inches long, 1.5-inch nylon webbing with a bit of Velcro glued on the end. To make sure these connect strongly, cut a slit through the 10mm support strip inside the pauldron and pass the webbing through before adding hot glue. Make sure you leave about 1/2 inch unglued at the bottom edge so the pauldron can sit over your armor. Here's how the pauldron attaches to your armor. Apply the opposing Velcro inside the chest and back plate of your armor. After that, simply put the pauldron over the chest plate and stick the front and back straps to the inside of the armor. It's finally time to paint the pauldron. Start by covering the straps, Velcro, and elastics with masking tape. To seal the surface of the foam, I like to use Mod Podge. You could also use Plastidip if you want. I recommend applying 3 coats on the outside and 1 coat on the inside of the pauldron. With that done, let's apply a base coat of flat black. I apply 1 coat on the inside and outside. Black paint covers so well that applying any more coats really isn't needed. Next, tape off everything except for the big flat part on the pauldron. This is where you can apply rustic orange. Of course, you could use any color you want here. Because the orange doesn't cover over black very well, I applied 3 thin coats. Finally, take off the masking tape to reveal nice clean seams. The little rivets on the pauldron also need to be black, so this is the time to paint them. Now it's time to start weathering the pauldron. I like to lightly spray black paint over the orange area to make it less uniform. Be careful not to add too much paint on this step. After that, I used a selection of brown acrylic and oil paints. Apply paint in the crevices and around corners where dirt and mud would typically accumulate. Once you're done, you can protect your work with a nice layer of satin or matte clear coat. And with that, your EVA foam SANDTROOPER pauldron is finished.
And here is the finished pauldron. I really like how it turned out, and I especially love how vibrant the orange is. This is not a super complicated project, so it can be done in a weekend if you're efficient. Of course, if you already made your own Stormtrooper armor using my templates, making this pauldron shouldn't be a challenge. So, as I said at the start of the video, if you want to make this project, the templates are available over in my Etsy store, which is linked in the video description below. And if you want a pauldron like this, but you don't want to make your own, I'm going to be selling this one over in my Etsy store to fund future projects. This is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, you can leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more cool projects like this one. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.